Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Super Goal 3. Before we start, on your behalf, we'd like to welcome Mr. Fawaz Al-Aqil, the interpreter to the sign language. Okay, let's start by reviewing the objectives. What are we planning to achieve at the end of this class? Students will be able to identify different kinds of healthy food that we are going to study in a reading passage. Then the students will be able, inshallah, to answer some comprehension questions based on reading. Okay, a quick review on the content of this unit that we have started in the previous lesson, the expansion unit 5 to 8. We started in the previous lesson, if you still remember, the language review. Okay, and in this language review, we answered 5 exercises from A to E, and they were based on grammar. In the next class, that is going to be today, inshallah, we're going to study reading. What is the reading passage that we're going to read? Foods. What about food? The truths and the lies about food. What are the things that people believe in foods that are truthful, and the things that people believe in foods that are not truthful, okay? Considered as lies. We call it lies, not truthful. Also in the coming class, we are just going to study writing, project, and chant along under the following titles. Okay, our class today mainly is on reading. So when you read, you have to be careful to learn lots of things that will impact your writing later on, inshallah, which is going to be in the coming class. Okay, look at this picture. What can you see here? These are different kinds of food. What can you see here? Different kinds of food, as we said, and the food is also divided into so many sections that are useful for our bodies. Okay, let's answer the following questions here. Does any of the food you eat, the food that we eat usually, does it have or does it contain saturated fat? A kind of fat. You know what fat is, but what is the saturated fat? That is what we're going to learn and understand, and we will explain it in the coming slides, inshallah. Okay, does your food you eat cause high cholesterol? When you eat food, does it increase, make it higher, the rate of the cholesterol in your body or not? Also, does the food that you eat cause acne? What is acne? Acne is the spots that is on the face, usually comes on the youths, okay, the younger people, that is caused by, some people think that they are caused by some chocolate, eating chocolate or eating fatty food, okay? That is called acne, the spots on the face. Like this one, you can see the picture here. Look at the spot on the face. This is called acne, okay, acne. Okay, does the food help to lower blood pressure? Okay, some people use kinds of food to treat some illnesses or to help in treating some illnesses like high blood pressure. If somebody has blood pressure that affects the arteries, the veins of the body, does the food that you eat lower it or make it higher? Okay, also another question here, what do you eat that is a good source of protein? You know, the protein that is one kind that is existing in some kinds of food. Okay, where can you find the protein, and where can you find calcium? Okay, these are the foods, the kinds of food that we can find calcium. And another question here, can you tolerate lactose? Lactose is one of the contents, okay, or the ingredients of the milk. Okay, many people don't like milk because they resist or they don't like drinking milk because of the lactose, okay, the taste of lactose. So here, can you tolerate lactose or not? The last question here on this slide, what should you eliminate from your diet? Okay, some people want to be on a diet or to try to lose weight, so in this case, they sometimes need to reduce, make it less, make the kind of food less. So what are the kinds of food that you can eliminate? okay, you can get rid of. These questions will be answered and you will get the benefits of some information about the foods that we eat and what are the kinds of food that we can eliminate, okay? Now, before we read also, look at the name of the food in the title of each section. We're going to read an article, and this article is divided into some subsections, okay? Each section is dealing with a different kind of food. We'll get so much information about each one of these kinds. What do you know about each food? Is it healthful or not? This kind of food, does it affect the body positively? That means, is it good for our body, or it affects the body badly? It affects it like making the body fat, or making the body with much cholesterol, or affecting the body in many different bad ways. Okay, what is the title of this reading passage? Food, Truths and Lies. As we said, so many people believe that kinds of food have good effects and bad effects. They impact the body well, and some of them affect the body badly. Okay, so let's find out about these truths and lies. Okay, the first one here, you can see this kind of food that's called margarine. Okay, this is a margarine. What is a margarine, and what is the effect that margarine makes on our body? This is what we're going to learn, inshallah, in the coming slides. And here, what is this? This is, these are eggs. These are eggs. And here, you can tell, what is this? That is chocolate. Is chocolate useful? And what are the beliefs that people have from chocolate? Okay? And here, this one, what is it? This is a sandwich, or we call it sandwiches in the plural. This one, what is it? Okay, very good. That is oil. We call it in plural oils. And this one, milk. Okay, this is milk. Now, we start with the first one here under the title Truths and Lies. Okay, let's read the introduction here. Every day, new discoveries about food help change ideas that people had about certain items. Nutritionists, or the people who are specialized in food, okay, they sometimes discover new things about foods and the effect that foods make on our body. So what are these? This is what we're going to learn in the coming slides. Some food villains of the past are perfectly acceptable in today's diets. In our diets, in the meals that we eat, before, people think that some kinds of food are villains. That means bad for our bodies when we eat it. But now this concept or this idea has changed. It is changed into a good thing. So these foods are considered as good for our body. Before we start reading and explaining about these kinds of food, let's listen to the first one here. That's margarine. What's margarine, and what's the effect that margarines make on our body? Let's listen, then we'll explain what margarines is.
Reading. Before reading, look at the name of the food and the title of each section. What do you know about each food? Is it helpful or not? Foods, Truths and Lies. Every day, new discoveries about food help change ideas that people had about certain items. Some food villains of the past are perfectly acceptable in today's diets. Margarine. Margarine was introduced officially in the United States in 1950 as a substitute for butter. However, margarine contained trans fat, which were worse than the saturated fat in butter. Nowadays, makers of margarine take out trans fats, and some brands include ingredients that help to protect the heart.
Okay, so what's margarine? Margarine started in the United States, as you can read here. It introduced in 1950 as a substitute for butter. What do you mean by substitute for butter? Before, people believed that butter is the only thing that they can eat, but since butter has bad effect on the bodies, Americans started to introduce a substitute, another choice for butter. That is called margarine. Okay, however, margarine contains trans fat. This is also a kind of fat. We have trans fat and we have another kind of fat that's called saturated fat. What's the difference? Which one is good for our body and which one is bad for our body? Let's continue reading and find out which were worse than the saturated fat. So the trans fat is bad, okay? Both of them are bad for our body, but the trans fat is worse than, okay, worse than the saturated fat in butter. Nowadays, makers, the people who make the food, or the nutritionist, as we're going to see later on, take out trans fats, and some brands include ingredients that help to protect the heart. They add some elements, some parts to the margarine to make it better for the bodies. Okay, so that is what margarine is. Okay, now let's continue reading about eggs. Okay, and we will read also about chocolate. What information we have about eggs and chocolate? Let's listen first, and you read along with the reader, and you will find out more about eggs and chocolate and how they positively affect our bodies.
Eggs. Eggs can be a problem for people with high cholesterol, especially if the eggs are fried. For healthy people, eggs are a good source of protein and are good for the heart and brain. However, you shouldn't eat a lot of eggs. Chocolate. People long associated chocolate with obesity, high cholesterol, and acne because it contains sugar and saturated fats. Recent studies show that dark chocolate protects the heart because it reduces the bad cholesterol and helps to lower blood pressure. Some nutritionists recommend 1 square from a bar a day.
Okay, let's talk about eggs. Eggs can be a problem for people with high cholesterol. You know, cholesterol is something that is available in our bodies, and it is very useful in our bodies, but when the amount of the cholesterol increases or gets the rate of cholesterol in the body higher than usual, it will badly affect bodies. So eggs is a problem sometimes when we have a lot of eggs, especially if the eggs are fried. Okay, when we put eggs in an oil and we fry it, eggs become worse because we have eggs with high cholesterol, and we have oil also which has much cholesterol. For healthy people, eggs are good source for protein and are good for heart and brain. If somebody is not complaining of any kind of illnesses, the eggs are useful for them because it has much protein, which is good for the body. However, you shouldn't eat a lot of eggs. Even if you are healthy, if you are well, you have to reduce the amount of eggs that you eat, okay? Because, as we said before, it has much cholesterol, which badly affects our body. Next is chocolate. What is chocolate? Many youngsters like chocolate, but let's read and find out the use of this kind of food. People long associated chocolate with obesity, high cholesterol, and acne. People before think when somebody has obesity is when somebody is overweight. Okay, that means that is what obesity is. With high cholesterol also, and acne, as we said before, the spot that comes in the face or in general body of the youngsters. Usually with youngsters, there are some spots, and we call it acne. People before, long time ago, think that this is the reason behind the chocolate. If they eat chocolate, they will have acne, high cholesterol, and obesity. Why? Because it contains sugar, saturated and saturated fat. Sugar is one of the content of chocolate. Also, saturated fat is one of the content of the chocolate. So this is the reason why people think that it causes obesity, high cholesterol, and acne. Recent studies show that dark chocolate protects the heart. Okay, you know, there is a kind of chocolate which is called dark chocolate. the taste of this chocolate is bitter. Okay, many youngsters don't like this kind of food, but this dark chocolate is useful. It is useful to the heart. Okay, it protects the heart because it reduces the bad cholesterol and helps to lower blood pressure. As we said before, we have good cholesterol in our bodies and we have bad cholesterol. So it is believed that the study that we mentioned a while ago proves that the dark chocolate reduces the bad cholesterol and increases the good cholesterol of the body. Okay, let's continue now. Introduces the bad cholesterol and helps lower blood pressure. Some nutritionists are the people who are specialized in foods and how foods are made and how they develop and how to make it useful for people. So the nutritionists recommend 1 square from a bar a day. So you take a bar of chocolate, just square, 1 square. You can see here we have many squares, as you can see here. It's enough to take 1 a day. That will help protect your heart and reduces the bad cholesterol in your body. Okay, we move to this one also. That is a sandwich. As you can see here, we will listen and read to what's written about a sandwich and also about oils. What is good in oils to our body when we have it in our meals. Okay, let's read and listen at the same time, and we'll try to find out more about these 2 things. Again, we tell you during reading, you don't need to know all the words, all the vocabulary that are words that are mentioned in the reading. You can guess the meaning and you can get the general meaning of the paragraph by guessing or predicting the meaning. Okay, so let's read and try to understand what is a sandwich and what are oils.
Sandwiches. People said a sandwich isn't a substitute for a good meal, but some sandwiches can be a good healthy choice. One example is turkey or smoked salmon with cheese, tomato, avocado, and lettuce on whole wheat bread, especially if you have the sandwich together with a glass of fresh orange juice. Oils. Oils often have saturated fat, and generally they aren't good for you. However, olive oil is an exception. Olive oil increases the good cholesterol and helps to eliminate the bad cholesterol. In ancient times, people used olive oil as medicine.
Okay, so what are sandwiches? What people believe on sandwiches? Let's read now all together. People said here, we're talking about the past. So they believed something. A sandwich, look at the quotation here. This is what exactly people mentioned or what people said. A sandwich is not a substitute for a good meal. Before people thought before that a sandwich is not a good substitute. That means it cannot take the place of a good meal. Why? That we will know why. But some sandwiches can be a good healthy choice. But now the nutritionists and the people who work on food think that a sandwich can be a good substitute for a good meal. Okay. One example is turkey or smoked salmon. You know, turkey is a kind of food that we usually eat it in a sandwich, as you can see in the picture here. And smoked salmon also with cheese, tomato, avocado, and lettuce on the whole wheat bread, especially if they have the sandwich together with a glass of fresh orange juice. You know how many ingredients that we mentioned in this sandwich? With a glass of orange juice, that will make the sandwich a good substitute for a meal. So you can have a sandwich and it can be good for your body. If it has the things that we mentioned here, turkey, smoked salmon, cheese, tomato, avocado, lettuce, okay, and whole wheat bread, okay. Now we move to the second one here, that is oils. What about oils? Oils often have saturated fat. We told you that saturated fat is a kind of fat that is bad for our body, that causes lots of problems. And generally, they aren't good for you. Okay, so considered as not good. However, olive oil, there is another choice of oil that is called olive oil. Okay, olive oil is an exception. That means when we talk about saturated fat or trans fat, that are the two kinds of fat that are not good for our bodies, we talk about the opposite thing. Another thing, as you can see in the picture here, this is the olive oil, okay, that is taken from pressing olives and making the oil. It is an exception that is not included in what we mentioned before, the saturated and the trans fat. Okay, olive oil increases the good cholesterol and helps to eliminate the bad cholesterol. We mentioned about the chocolate bar, the dark chocolate, which reduces the bad cholesterol. Also, the olive oil reduces the bad cholesterol in the body. So olive oil is a good choice for us. It's an exception from the normal oil. In ancient times, when we talk about ancient times, before, long time ago, what happened? People used olive oil as medicine. People, long time ago, they don't have medicine, so they use kinds of food like olive oil. They use it as medicine. Okay, so it proves that this is a good thing to have it in our meal. Olive oil is a good choice. Okay, now we move to one of the things that are very important for our bodies. What is it? You can see from the picture here, that is milk. What about milk? How good milk is to our bodies? Let's read and listen at the same time, and we'll find out more about milk.
Milk and other dairy products such as cheese and yogurt are considered the perfect foods for young and old. They provide the body with necessary calcium. Unfortunately, a large portion of the world's population cannot drink milk because they cannot tolerate the lactose in cow's milk. They need to find calcium in other sources.
Okay, so what is the main content of the milk? That is calcium, which is very important for young people and old people. Let's read and find out more about milk. Milk and other dairy products. We talk about milk and we talk about other kinds of dairy products that are produced from milk. Like what? Like cheese and yogurt. They are considered the perfect foods for young and old. So this kind of food or milk and dairy products are good for our bodies. Not only for young people, but also for the old people. Okay, they provide the body with necessary calcium. So the most important thing we can find in milk, that is the calcium. It's good for our bones, it's good for our teeth, and it's good for our health in general. Unfortunately, that means unluckily, which is a bad thing that will be mentioned, a large portion of the world's population cannot drink milk. Many people do not like milk. Okay, you can notice that so many people don't like it. What is the reason behind that? Why so many people don't like milk? Because they cannot tolerate the lactose in cow's milk. There is a content in the milk which is called lactose. Okay, it has a taste and it has something that so many people don't like this taste in milk. So the reason behind that why people don't like the milk, because of the lactose. Okay, they need to find calcium in other sources. So since they don't like milk and all dairy products, there is another option for them. They can find calcium in other kinds of food. You need to check for the kinds of food that have calcium, where you can search it and you can find and you can look for a kind of food. If you don't like milk, you have to find another solution for that. You have to take calcium, because calcium, as mentioned here, is very useful for your body, for your health, for your bones, and for your teeth, okay, in particular. Now, after reading, let's answer the questions here to check how much you understand from this reading. What was the problem with eating margarine? We talk about margarine, that is the substitute for butter. What's the problem with that? Let's read the answer. It contained trans fat. And we told you that trans fat is very bad for our health, which were worse than saturated fat in butter. Okay, butter has saturated fat and trans fat, So the margarine here is a substitute. Why are eggs good for you? We consider eggs very useful. Why? What's the reason? Do you remember when we read it in the previous slide? They are good source for protein. Protein is needed for everybody. Protein is founded where? Is founded. You can find it in where? In the eggs. Okay. Number 3. Does chocolate help protect the heart? Is it good for your heart? Is chocolate good for your heart or not? We told you about the dark chocolate in particular. So it reduces the bad cholesterol and helps to lower blood pressure. That is the dark chocolate in particular. Not all chocolate, because some chocolates are not good for your body. Okay, so the dark chocolate is the useful one. Number 4, how much chocolate should you eat a day? Okay, we mentioned that you need to take a reasonable amount. Okay, not much. You have to be careful about the chocolate because it might badly affect your body. So how much you need to take from chocolate? You should eat 1 square from a bar a day. 1 square. Okay, so don't eat much. This is bad for your health. Number 5, why is olive oil good for you? We talked about olive oil and how people long time ago in the ancient centuries and in the ancient time they use it as a medicine. Why? What's the reason behind that? Olive oil increases the good cholesterol and helps to eliminate the bad cholesterol. Okay, as the dark chocolate does. Also, the olive oil increases the good cholesterol and eliminates the bad cholesterol, reduces, make it lower, the bad cholesterol. Number 6, why can't many people drink milk? Why? What's the reason they cannot drink milk? They cannot tolerate the lactose in cow's milk. As we said, lactose is the reason behind why the people, most of the people don't like milk. It is because of lactose. And also after reading, now you had some information about the kinds of food. Now let's make a discussion, or you can make a discussion with your family or with a classmate or with a friend about these things. What is your opinion about the foods mentioned in the text? What do you think? Some of these kinds of food you like, some of them you don't like, some of them that you need more than others. So you have to discuss that. Also, another issue, what is your favorite food or drink? In general, what is the kind of food that you like to eat, and what is the drink that you like? Discuss that and find out how useful is this milk, is this food, or is that drink. Okay, are young people in your country worried about eating healthy? That means, are they careful about the kinds of food that they eat? This is very important. You have to consider. What do young people usually eat? Okay, young people like certain kinds of food. What are they? And you have to discuss that. And when you discuss it, try to give advice, not to eat like junk food and the food that is not useful for your bodies. Number 5, is the fast food popular in your country? That is the junk food, one of the kinds of fast food. Is it popular? If yes, that means there will be a bad effect on our bodies if we eat much junk food. What do you think are the good and the bad things about fast food? Okay, this is very important also to discuss and find out about. The junk food, as we said, is not good for our bodies. We have to reduce the amount of this food that we eat. So these are the questions that we need to consider when we discuss kinds of food. And by this we come to the end of our class today. Thank you for watching, and see you inshallah in our next episode. Goodbye.